Now, as you're aware, we have the various emerging technologies that are already in place. Most researchers are also coming up with other technologies. So us is just to focus on these already established technologies and those ones that are being implemented. So there are quite a number of technologies, but you need to really define the purpose of this research work as you maybe want to understand these top emerging technologies. Of course, people say that why should I learn about these top emerging technologies? It's very important. A technology, once it is there, it's a must. We understand how it's going to impact either on our lives or the future generation, right? So you have to ask yourself very many questions. More so, will they affect you in person? Have they already started affecting you? If not, when are they supposed, or when do you anticipate these particular technologies to affect your normal day-to-day activities or even at school, right? And the most important, other important question is where can we get this particular information about these particular technologies? So you need to research. That's why you are a student, right? You need to familiarize yourself with these particular technologies through research. Yeah, because if you go to the healthcare, we have technologies that are being used there. If you come to education sector, we have technologies that are being used there. So one is to appreciate the role of you as a scientist. You need to be curious, right? A good scientist should be curious on what is happening around his or her environment, right? And of course, you need to embark on research. That is why you are a scholar. So a good research student also should know how to do the best research. I think next time also I'll take you through step-by-step way of how you can perform a good research, and of course how you can format a research paper. Yeah, what they normally say that lazy people are the inventions. They are actually people who have contributed a lot towards invention of the various technologies that we have. You see, if you're lazy, you can always find a quick fix, right? And of course, if you feel that you're indifferent, you can always ignore them, right? So as I was saying, laziness is the mother of invention. If you are lazy and you are willing to bring on board technology that is going to help you do your work, then that is good, right? And of course, it's also looked at as a father of invention, right? So these are some of the things that lazy people contribute towards. So don't just say that I won't participate, I'm lazy. Yeah. So if you're lazy, always look at a good way or easier way of understanding what kind of technology can be used to make your work easier. So ideally, our focus here is for those who feel that they are curious. More so, if you're a scholar, right, you are curious of what is happening. Right now, we have a lot of things happening. We have the AI, we have the smart cities, which we are going to mention. We have virtual reality. You should be very curious on the upcoming or emerging technologies and find out what are their roles in what we are doing. So maybe looking at the first emerging technology. When I talk about emerging technology, these are technologies that have already been, of course, invented, and they are still being implemented bit by bit, right? Like implantable technologies. In some areas in this particular world, they are being used, right? Uh, like nowadays, you can have a chip being implanted on your body just to track you, right? So they are not just being worn, but also you can also implant these particular technologies. They provide information such as your location, right? Even your health, right? When you go to the hospital, they can always just link to that particular chip and monitor maybe your body temperature and everything, right? So there are quite a number of good things that comes with these particular implantable technologies, and they can also be used to determine the kind of maybe viruses or diseases that are likely to come by. We also have the smart tattoos. There are quite a number of applications of these implantable technologies that you need to maybe be familiar with, right? And this is where we are. This is where we are. So you might wonder how people are going to be tracked in future, or how will someone understand maybe whether you have some increased temperature, body temperature, and so on. So these are some of the built-in technologies that will always exist, right? So they are for the good. Of course, they have the pros and cons, and that's why you are a scholar. You need to understand what are the advantages and disadvantages of these. We have also experienced the new vision, right? People nowadays are using virtual reality, for instance, right? We can also use our eyes. We can have some technology that actually creates some interface between our eyes and the outside world, right? So that if I just look at you, if I wear some smart glasses, if I look at you, I can always read the records. And this is courtesy of the implantable technology. I can see maybe your previous, maybe your name, and all this information about you, right? And if I go to a particular location, right, with the glasses that are being implemented, you can always know more about that particular area. So with emerging eye tracking technologies, devices can feed information through visual interfaces and eyes, and you can also interact with them to get more information. For the business people or market, we can use them to provide maybe product and services feedback, right? And it can also help maybe people who are producing this particular product to improve on their services and also the product. When you were in class last time, I happened to mention about this technology, wearable internet, right? So we are actually being confronted with a technology whereby people are going to, when you purchase a particular cloth, right, you can always put on your internet. So you don't need to have the routers and everything. So it is going to be integrated. An example is this particular Apple Watch, right? So you can always use that. We also have even shoes. I mean, something that you can always wear, right, should be connected to the internet. And this leads to the expansion, or rather the connection of Internet of Things, right? Even your dog, if you have a puppy, right, you can have some kind of maybe bracelet or some kind of maybe tracking device, right, that accesses the internet. So there are quite a number of applications that uses this particular wearable internet, especially when we talk about the micro computers, right? They are actually, most of them are actually wearable. Talking about computers, right now, and I think even some of us appreciate the power of your smartphone, for instance, right? So it was something that we are talking about. But with the advancement of technology, we looked at the various generation of computers, and we looked at the 5th generation of computers. We looked at 5 technological advancement that is going to change how computers actually operate. We talked about the parallel processing, right, capability of a smartphone, for example, the ability to have additional cache memory, right? We have wider bus structures. So this is the power of computers. So we are saying that it doesn't require you to have a laptop, for example. Even with a small, tiny smartphone, you can be able to perform different functions that laptop does, right? So yes, we have these particular computers. So there's a question that I asked. When you're purchasing a computer, for example, what are some of the things that you look at, right? And we agreed that the purpose, right? So if you are a data analyst, you actually process a lot of data, you require a very super smartphone to process that, and so on. So every technology that is actually advancing requires large processing power, a lot of memory, and so on. A good example is Safaricom, right, in Kenya. So this Safaricom is actually one of the big tech organization that actually has maybe utilized the use of this particular supercomputer to provide different services, as you know. So yes, quite a number of technologies I've said are using smartphones. So you don't really need to have a laptop, for example, or a PC. With your simple smartphone, you can log in to some meeting, you can process data. I mean, you can even do some programming. Right now we have big data analytics. All these doesn't require the use of big computers. You just need to have a smartphone and you can always do that. Another emerging technologies is actually the connected home. Ideally, when we talk about the connected home, we are not looking at a traditional home right now. We are looking at a home that has a lot of devices, right? And this one brings in the technology known as Internet of Things. A good example is, as you can see, when we used to have power in our houses, it was just for lighting purposes, nothing else. We didn't use it for refrigeration or to power other devices, no. But nowadays, power is being used to power almost every device in our homes. Same applies to the introduction of internet, right? Every home nowadays requires that all these particular devices that are in our homes be connected to the internet. So we are going to look at what Internet of Things are. You can have smart refrigerators, you can have toasters, dishwashers, air conditioners. All these can be connected to the internet. So even if you are traveling, for example, you can be able to see what is happening in your home. Yeah, you can even change, right? You can even change the amount of power that is being used by a particular device from home, right? When you are away. Yeah, you can automatically switch on and switch off these particular devices. That is the connected home that you're talking about. So you need to understand what technologies power these particular connected homes. Of course, we can have artificial intelligence systems, we can have robots, we can have the Internet of Things, as I've mentioned, right? So there's quite a number of technologies that can be used to realize the dream of a connected home. Better still, we have smart cities. Smart cities, the name smart actually requires some technologies to make it smart. One, we have blockchain. Blockchain technology is one of the technologies that is actually growing. You know, for a while we have seen people using blockchain just to mine bitcoins, right? But people have realized that blockchain technology can be used to further advance other processes from different sectors, not only within the finance sector. Like, for example, if you come to the government of the day should be able to use blockchain to actually implement these particular smart cities. That is just one technology. You can also use artificial intelligence, right? So in advanced areas, such as you can see, we have Singapore, Barcelona, and the rest, they nowadays have technologies that can help them do some kind of automated, like, for example, trash collection, intelligent lighting. These are some of things that with the time, I know we are developing still, but with the time we are going to see them. We have one of our upcoming smart cities, that is the Konza city, which is actually going to adopt some of the things that we are talking about, right? So yes, smart cities are a good way of actually implementing these particular technologies that you're talking about. So we are here, and the AI is we here with us. I know someone will always argue that, okay, with the introduction of artificial intelligence, maybe we are going to lose our jobs. No, artificial intelligence are or is a technology that is going to help us improve on what we are doing. If you are a student, for instance, now that you are a student, how are you going to use artificial intelligence, for example, to make your academic work or to improve your academic work? Like I believe we have the famous ChatGPT, right? So ChatGPT is there. How do you use it? For research, for instance, right? Most organizations use AI for decision-making purposes. So we have different applications of artificial intelligence, right? And as you're going to see, I won't really go into details about these technologies because these are just like main topics that you can always talk about in a full course, right? But we just need to appreciate what are the applications of some of the AI, right? Like in agriculture, you can say it is being used to control pests, monitor soil and growing conditions, right? We talk about those genetically modified, those GMOs, right? These are the work of artificial intelligence. They can be used there. So AI, I want to debunk this myth that AI is here to take our jobs. No, it's just to make your work more efficient. And I will share with you guys, yeah, the more you practice to use AI, we have a lot of artificial intelligence tools outside there, right? Like if you want to design if you want to do some kind of marketing, we have applications that can help you do smart marketing. If you want to do, I mean, generally everything, we have different applications that can help you. When I talk about application, actually these are the softwares, right? That can always learn and see how they can always make your work easier. There are quite a number. Then, of course, we have the robotics that use artificial intelligence, right? So we have the see and spray robots. I believe these ones are programmed such a way that if they identify a particular plant is bit, or they don't, or if they identify, be it a weed, right? They spray that particular weed and kill it and so on. So these are just some of the applications. We have also the robotics that harvest the crops, that monitor our soils, right? In the health sector, this is also an area that has been actually seen to use AI applications, right? And ideally, most health care centers or sectors across the world have implemented this particular technology, right? If you go to some kind of hospitals, actually those particular human beings that respond to your request are actually robots, right? They're the ones that are going to check your pressure, what and what, before the real doctor does that. So there are a lot of applications in the health sector. There are applications that have always been released outside there. As you can see, we have healthcare bots, IBM Watson analysis, and so on. You can take time to dig deep and understand what actually they provide. A business is another large sector that uses AI, right? And for instance, we talk about the online marketing approaches or home, what is talk about when you're home shopping, right? You can use AI. And how do you use AI, for example? Yeah, if we have, like, for example, e-commerce systems that can always track the activities of a person. That's why I'm telling you, like, if Google right now uses a lot of AI to know what you're looking for online. So if you have this particular integrated AI technologies across multiple platforms, then when it reaches maybe supper time, automatically you'll get a notification that this particular food is ready from Glovo, can we deliver it for you? Or today we don't have that option. So there are quite a number of things that we can use to improve how we do business. So additional applications are as follows. You can automate workloads in business organizations, right? Using AI, you can predict behavior. That's what I was trying to explain. Predicting behavior, knowing what a user wants. Improve marketing and advertising, and so on. Managing and analyzing data for decision-making purposes. We are here, education. Students, be it teachers, can use AI to do quite a number of things, right? For example, we can produce smart content. Now, talking about smart content are content that are really is meeting maybe the course outline or the requirements of the students, right? So that you don't really give unnecessary content to the students, like outdated content. Then we have, of course, teacher support, student communication. All these are some of the applications that can be used with AI in education sector. Then we also have the 3D printing. Gone are the days that we talked about 3D printing as a paper-related printing, right? Nowadays, we can also use 3D printing for human health. I think I mentioned this in class last time, right? We are going to have very smart technology that is going to maybe check the exact structure, maybe for example of your bone, right? Or for some part of your organ, and produce the exact type of organ, so that, like, let's say if you have a fracture or a broken bone, it can exactly replace that. I was looking at an article. In fact, I was looking at some video about this 3D printing, and there's a particular nation that is actually implementing it, right? Which is actually working very well. So it is there. Even here, Kenyatta National Hospital, they introduced it. I don't know how far it is, right? So these are things that are already there. It's only that we need to understand, yes, that they are there, so that you don't really look backward. I've also mentioned about blockchain technology, right? Blockchain technology is a particular technology that uses what we refer to as a distributed system, or rather distributed ledger. What happens is that, for example, when you are depositing money, or you want to transfer funds to your friend who is maybe in South Africa, for example, what happens is that nowadays you have to go through a bank, right? A centralized system, right? And this issue of having a centralized system has a lot of disadvantages. First, the cost implication, maybe when you're transferring funds. Second, security. Someone can hack into a bank system, right? And even redirect your traffic, right? We also have issues of delay of the transaction. So what blockchain technology achieves to do is to remove the intermediaries, right? So that everyone can have access to the other person without any intermediary. So what it means that blockchain uses what we refer to as peer-to-peer network. We're going to look at different types of networks, right? So peer-to-peer network simply means that whatever is connecting, or whatever computers that are connected, are equal. So there's no centralized computer that is going to control how the transaction happens. So to reinforce security, blockchain uses cryptography, where you have to implement digital signatures, the public and the private keys. So these are a bit advanced, but it's better we understand that it is there. And we can also categorize the blockchain into different types. We have public blockchain that can be accessed by everyone. We also have private blockchain that can be used by a single domain, or rather an organization. Then we have hybrid blockchain that combines the features of public and private blockchain. And of course, we can talk about the transactions. Yeah? Blocks are actually compiled transaction. Every activity that you do can be compiled into a block. So the good application, or the application that has used this blockchain, is actually Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has actually made it possible for us to realize the advantages of a blockchain technology. So yes, you are there. We need to understand, apart from using Bitcoin to use this particular blockchain technology, how else can we use blockchain technology with respect to education sector, right? With respect to elections, right? See, nowadays people complain that, oh, someone voted twice, I don't know what. How can blockchain help us eradicate these issues? So it creates transparency, right? It's a very nice technology, and always like talking about it. Then we have the Internet of Things. We have already seen the connected homes, right? We are moving into a future where almost everything is going to be connected, right? Be it, be it your puppy, be it your, almost every devices are going to be connected. And that is what we mean by the Internet of Things. Someone raised their hand. Someone raised their hand. Okay. So we can talk about Internet of Things. So here a thing can be a person. It can be anything that has some kind of implanted chip, right? Or built-in sensors, so that you can remotely monitor what these particular devices are doing. And that's why I mentioned when you're looking at connected homes. So you don't need to be there physically, yeah, to know where a student is seated, for example, in class, right? With introduction of maybe CCTVs as one of the things, right? Monitoring of the temperature of a room, so that it notifies you if there is some kind of fire. All these, right? So we can also look at it from other angle. Introduction of smart cars, self-driving or self-driven cars, right? You can always program a car to follow a specific route, even aeroplanes for that matter. According to Gartner report, by 2020, it was actually predicted that 20.6 billion devices will be connected across the globe, which has come to pass. In fact, even more than that. But the same report predicts that by 2025, we should have double the number of devices that are connected, right? Even this one will include the doors. You see this door, your door that you close, even the gates, you can always monitor. If someone, you can place some sensor there, right? And it gives you notification via email that someone is entering your, these are devices that we're talking about, right? So devices are going to be connected more than even human beings, right? Because if you're a human being, let's say you are 5 in your house or in your home, and every person has 20 devices that needs to be connected. So you can see how many devices are going to be connected. So the types of IoT systems that you're likely to have, of course, connected cars, the smart cars, wearable devices, you've already seen that. Yeah, smart objects, automated systems, wireless sensors, right? We have talked about smart cities, right? It will help us track and manage this particular waste in appropriate manner, right? But it's very, very also important to understand the disadvantages that these particular technologies bring on board, right? So apart from the benefits, they have some issues like the introduction of very many devices, right? In fact, if we have very many devices that are connected, that means they are going to consume a lot of power. I know that is not one of the disadvantages listed here, right? And when they emit a lot of heat and consume a lot of power, don't you think that one is going to impact negatively to our environment, for example? That is just one side of it. If you have people purchasing different devices so that they can connect them to the internet, don't you see that you're going to have a lot of e-waste, right? Which is going to maybe lead to some health hazards or even pollution to our environment. So those are just some of the concerns. Better still, you can say we have security concern, right? When you connect multiple devices, we are going to look at cyber security. Yeah, when you connect multiple devices, you realize that we have hackers, right? If I happen to hack one of your devices and you've connected 10 of them, that means I'll get access to all those particular devices. Yeah, I can even increase the temperature within one of your devices and your house can be on fire, right? And so on. We also have the issue of big data. Once we have these particular devices communicating, how are we going to track and manage this particular data? So it's going to be something of the concern. And of course, system corruption. These systems are not perfect, right? So if you place a robot, for instance, or you place a device to monitor someone's health, it can get corrupted and even stop working. So when you come there, you find someone is dead, for example. When it's we're talking about surgery devices, right? So they can get corrupted. And of course, issue of interoperability, what we refer to as compatibility issues. There will be very many vendors trying to actually produce these particular devices, and it will be an issue to really have platforms that can enable them to actually communicate seamlessly. So we need to really factor that, because very many vendors will come and they'll have different devices, and these devices are not going to be compatible. So we need to look at other platforms that is going to help us manage communication from these different devices and so on. Another one, we have just looked at the big data. And talking about big data, one solution of big data is to understand data science, right? We need to scrutinize whatever data that we have so that it makes sense. And data that doesn't make sense, we can always leave it outside, right? So as a professional, you need to understand how to do some kind of basic data analytics, use some application to analyze large data, right? So far we have Amazon, we have the Azure of Microsoft. These are platforms that enable us to handle these data. And that is a practice we refer to as data science. So you need to be very good in maths, yeah, statistics, software development, and so on. So ladies and gentlemen, what we are saying is that there are good parts of this technology, and of course there are disadvantages of these technologies. And I can't really exhaust talking about them in this sitting. And that's why I'll give you some group discussion assignments so that at least you do some kind of research. So other technologies are such as nanotechnology or other biotechnology. These are technology that uses matter. You see, matter, they say, is, I don't know, something that occupies space and something of the sort. So when you have matter and you want to change the atomic or the atoms of something, right? So it helps you to produce a different outcome. That's what nanotechnology helps us, or more improved version of what is existing, right? So nowadays we have even people, men, can be able to carry children in their stomach. I don't know if that is possible. Cloud computing is what we are doing right now, right? Cloud computing is also another technology that we need to appreciate, right? Because without this, we can't store our data online. We can't do, I mean, cloud computing is just a game changer. We also have the virtual realities, mixed realities, augmented realities. All these contribute to the emerging technologies that I've so far mentioned. So going forward, I hope you are going to maybe dive deep into these other technologies within your respective field or career, right? So if you're a business student, if you're an IT student, if you're a law student, if you're IR student, kindly check on the technologies that are used within your respective field.